Say, hey guys, it's Klaus. Play like shit and win. Yeah, that's the theory. As there's 3 easy steps to accomplish this, and Klaus will explain them for you. Step number 1, get yourself a Russian tank, preferably an IS-3. That's step number 1. Now this is the most important step. A lot of people screw up right on the first step, and they aren't able to achieve the desired outcome. See, like for instance, if you get yourself a German tank like a Panther, and then you follow the next 2 steps, you step 1, get a German Panther. Step 2, play like shit. Step 3, you will lose, right? So it will not work. Or if you get yourself, say, a British, like a Centurion. So step 1, you get a Centurion, you've already fucked up, right? Because you're going to play like shit, and then the outcome will be you lose. So step number 1 is the most important step, and a lot of people screw this up. It's very difficult. There's a lot of things to remember. So we'll repeat it again for you slowly so that you will understand. Step 1, get yourself a Russian tank, preferably an IS-3. Okay, so now step 2. What do you do? Step 2. Well, you play like shit. Okay? So you get yourself your Russian, you follow step 1, you get yourself your Russian IS-3, and then you play like shit. You're a heavy tank, you're top tier, so you stop at the back and you camp. Right? Because when you look at the minimap, you see, well, the east side, they're just going to die. You're going to have to go back to base eventually, so there's no point pushing. Might as well just play like shit and snipe across the map with your Russian tank, and, you hit people for 400 damage. And you play like shit, you let the rest of the team move up, and you just sit in the bush way at the back. And so step 2, play like shit. Now, a lot of people don't get the full appreciation of step 2. When Klaus says play like shit, it's not like for the first minute or halfway through the game or in flurries of shit. Klaus means play like shit the whole game, right? So just stay at the back, don't really do much. Just try not to get involved a lot. Let your team move up and spot and fight and try and win, and wallow around in the back and try and play as much like shit as possible is the strategy. And when you see that your teammates are pushing up, leave them, forget about them. Do what you think is the shittiest thing you can do, and just look at the map, see where the red dots are, and generally wander in the direction of the red dots. That's as good as you can get. And if you follow step 1 and you've got yourself a Russian tank, preferably an IS-3, then step 2 is the natural progression, and things will tend to work out, right? So when you step 2, well, let's recap again. So step 1 is you get yourself a Russian tank, preferably an IS-3. And step 2 is you play like shit. So you hide at the back, you don't do much, you aim your gun that's not very accurate, and you shoot people for 400 damage. And so these are the 2 steps. The second step takes a little longer. Sometimes you have to play like shit for 7, 8, or 9 minutes. You have to just wallow around behind your teammates and try and be as shitty as possible. When your 6th sense goes off, run away. Try and get shots of opportunity, poke out there, don't aim too much. And then, move back and forth, use the W and the S key. Try not to use the Q and the E key too much. Just go back and forth. Shoot to the left, shoot to the right, let your teammates do most of the work. Just back up a lot, Don't load any APCR, just use standard ammo, try and be as shitty as possible. Don't use your armor too much, if you've got the heavy tank, don't go take any hits for anyone. Just play as much like shit as you can. So, a lot of times when you're following step 2, you may get a little bit discouraged because your team starts losing, and it looks like things aren't going to work out. But trust me, if you followed step 1 and you got yourself a Russian tank, preferably an IS-3, then you've got to stick with it. You got to realize that Step 2 is only the second step. And, don't stop to aim. Just fire shots wildly. Things tend to work in your favor. Be as crap as you can, right? Drive around. Don't look like you know what's going on. Follow along the contours of the terrain, and go left, go right. Try and be as random as possible. Don't aim too much. Don't try and follow any strategies with your teammates. Don't worry too much about enemies, whether they're going to shoot you or not. Just go up the left side, go up the right side, turn around, go backwards, forwards. Then just randomly start charging forward. Stuff like that. And things tend to work out. So in this game, Klaus says, step 1, check. Have a Russian tank, preferably an IS-3. So here we are in the IS-3. And playing like shit, check. Been playing like shit all the game. And you have to make sure, this is, step 2 is the longest step. And you do have to make sure that you play like shit the whole game. You cannot just play like shit for the first 5-6 minutes and then, okay, that was enough, now I'll try and win. No. It's a 3-point strategy, and each point is as important as the other point. And step 2, play like shit. You must play like shit the whole game. The whole game. Okay? So there's no room for interpretation in these steps. They're pretty clear. Klaus has thought about this for a long time. He's tried to make it as simple as possible. Used to have like a 23-step program, how to win games. Some YouTubers give you the 15-step program. If you follow these 15 things and do these 12 different types of gameplay that I do, you will be as good as me. No. Klaus has narrowed it down to just 3 simple steps, because a lot of people, they can't even remember the first step. You see people driving around in Centurions and Panthers and the Cheeries. If you can't even get the first step, how the fuck you gonna even, you got no chance. So 3 steps is the most that anyone can even remember, and that's I think that's as simple as Klaus can make it. And just have to emphasize that you have to play like shit the whole game. So don't really aim your shots, try and miss a lot, and play like shit the whole game. And if you followed step 1 and you have a Russian tank, use Russian tactic. Russian tactic is miss shot, right? Miss shot. Surge forward, surge backwards, surge forward, missed shot, missed again. See? You have to play like shit the whole game. But if you followed step 1, use ass armor, is work. You play like shit, you use armor in ass, is work. You take shots, you move forwards, you move back, you do movements that are all shit, you have no idea. Things work out. If you follow step 1, and step 2, then what usually happens is you win. So there you go. Simple strategy, 3 easy steps. Klaus will recap them for you. Step 1, buy yourself a Russian tank, preferably an IS-3. Step 2, play like shit, preferably the whole game. And step 3, win. There you go. Now, if you miss or skip any of these steps, it ain't gonna work. So, yeah. Go ahead, try it. Probably work out for you. Works for me anyway.